All aboard! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, football fans of all ages, I am Beast Mike. You have now arrived at my train of thought. Monday, it was the AFC preview. Tuesday, it was the NFC preview. And now today, I'm going to preview my awards. Who do I think will win the NFL honors somewhere in Silicon Valley or San Francisco or San Jose, wherever they're going to do the awards show this year in the shadows of Levi Stadium out in Santa Clara. Anyway, let's not waste any more time. Let's get to business. First, I'm going to start with the rookies. Offensive Rookie of the Year. Brock Bowers almost did this last year, and I feel like if the Raiders been better, he could have won this award. But I'm going to go with a different tight end, Tyler Warren. I think he will become the Colts' best pass catcher this year. I think he will take a lot of pressure off of Jonathan Taylor and do things that Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce and those receivers that the Colts have simply could not do. And that's become incredibly destructive and incredibly dominant from the word go. Can Tyler Warren be another version of a Dallas Clark? Or, I guess, in the current sense, maybe a TJ Hawkinson? Maybe. But I think Tyler Warren's going to get off to a tremendous start and be as safe of a safety valve as Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson, quite honestly, could get. Defensive Rookie of the Year, same school, different conference, Abdul Carter. He's been a menace in preseason, and I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities to wreak havoc and terrorize quarterbacks this year. I think Brian Burns is going to get his fair share of double teams, and if he's not getting double teamed, Dexter Lawrence certainly will. And for that to happen, Abdul Carter's going to get a lot of one-on-one treatment. I think Carter's going to come through and come out like gangbusters. So I'm going to go Abdul Carter for my Defensive Rookie of the Year. Now to my comeback players. And this kind of worked out really well, where I go offense in one conference, defense in the other. And my comeback player in the AFC is a guy who should have won this award in 2023, Tua Tagovailoa. His statistics that year were tremendous. He led the league in passing yards. He was the catalyst on what was the best offense in football for a lot of the season. And for some reason, he finished 5th in comeback player of the year after those concussions. Absolutely insane. Well, this year, he's coming back from yet another concussion and obviously the injuries he had late in the year. I think Tua is going to come back in a kind of sink or swim, make or break type of season for the Dolphins. I think Tua comes back with a vengeance and has another really good year where he protects himself and stays healthy. And a healthy Tua, as I've mentioned many times, is a productive Tua. And a productive Tua usually leads to Dolphins wins. So I think Tua is going to win the comeback player of the year, because if Miami's going to get anywhere, he's going to have to. My defensive comeback player of the year, I'm going to go with Aiden Hutchinson. I'm going to go with Hutchinson of the Detroit Lions. I think he will come back and kind of resume the dominance and terror that he was causing before the gruesome leg injury in Dallas. I think Hutchinson comes back with some sort of vengeance on a Lions team that kind of the jury's a little out on, to be honest. I think a lot of people are falling in love with the Packers because of what they just did in getting Micah. I think a lot of people are still thinking, okay, maybe it's the Eagles conference to lose, and it probably is. People are probably thinking, okay, can the Rams make a run? Can the Commanders get back to where they were? Can Tampa be a sleeper, dark horse type of team? It feels like the Lions don't have the same energy that they've had in recent seasons. I think Hutchinson's going to be responsible for bringing some of that energy back. So give me Aiden Hutchinson for my defensive comeback player of the year. Now, Aiden Hutchinson obviously went to Michigan. Michigan plays Oklahoma this Saturday in Norman. That's where Lane Johnson went to college. And Lane Johnson's going to win, I think, the offensive lineman of the year. He is the linchpin, the catalyst, the leader of the best offensive line in football. And the future Hall of Famer, I think, will continue to do more of this as he seemingly does not have an end to his peak of powers at right tackle. I think the Eagles' offensive line, once again, will be tremendous, and I think it's very well on the board. Saquon can get to 2 stacks yet again. And Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata and company will be a huge piece of that puzzle if the Eagles are able to retain their championship. So give me Lane Johnson for Offensive Lineman of the Year. Now onto the Coach of the Year, and there's a lot of good candidates, but I think it'd be too easy to pick one from the true first-tier contenders. That would be John Harbaugh, Sean McDermott, Andy Reid in the AFC, Nick Sirianni, Sean McVay, Dan Campbell, Matt LaFleur in the NFC. So I guess I'll go with one of the second-tier teams, if you will. And this team's been a first-tier team for a while now, but now I think they're in the second tier. Give me Kyle Shanahan of the Niners. And as we've learned from San Francisco, it's pretty simple. When they're healthy, they're really, really good. Now, yes, they don't have some of the same cast of characters that got them to the dominant run that they've had over the last few years, pretty much in between 2020 and last year. Like, those were the injury years, those 3 years in between where they were a heavyweight contender the entire time. But I think this time the Niners are going to get back on track and right the ship a little bit. I think he's going to figure things out with Purdy and CMC and turn Ricky Pearsall into another kind of gem, similar to how Juwan Jennings was turning into a breakout star. And I think they're going to have to with the Brandon Ayuk injury as well. And then the defense, they lost some thump, but I do think the Niners are going to be okay on defense and figure it out, especially with getting Robert Saleh back as coordinator. So my coach of the year is going to be Kyle Shanahan. And now let's get to the MVPs. First, the defensive one. And I'm going to go off the beaten path a little bit because it's kind of like, oh, it's a pass rusher award. Or in some cases, it's a cornerback award. That's pretty much who we've seen win this award over the last few years. Not named Aaron Donald, because Aaron Donald was a defensive god. So I'm going to go off the beaten path a little bit and go with an off-ball linebacker. And I'm going to go Roquan Smith of the Ravens. I did think of Kyle Hamilton for this too. I really did. I thought Kyle Hamilton, who's been so instrumental for the Baltimore defense over the years, I thought he could absolutely be in play to win this award as well. But I'm going to go off the beaten path for a guy who is as vital to a defense as it gets in the league, along the lines of like a Fred Warner in San Francisco, or obviously the elite pass rushers in the game scattered about the NFL. But in this case, I'm going to go Roquan Smith because I think for Baltimore's defense to continue to be anywhere close to what they've been over the years, he's going to have to be a huge factor in it. So give me Roquan Smith for Defensive Player of the Year. I absolutely thought of Aiden Hutchinson. I was tempted to pick Micah Parsons too because he's going to have a point to prove, but I'm going to go with Roquan winning this award for the Defensive Player of the Year. And now I can actually combine these next two and the last two on this list. And that would be the non-quarterback offensive MVP, aka the Offensive Player of the Year, and the MVP overall, the quarterback MVP. They're going to both come from the Bengals. You already know the two by now. It's Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And for Cincinnati to make the playoffs, they have no choice but to do what they did last year, where those two, and to a lesser extent T. Higgins, absolutely terrorized the NFL and dominated. You knew Burrow was going to find Chase when he had to have it, and there was nothing that could be done to stop it. And they had to do it because they were basically playing arena football with 100 yards instead of 50. And in this case, I think that will be more of the same. Shout out to Trey Hendrickson, who might have to win Defensive Player of the Year to try to stop anybody from scoring, to be honest. But in the case of Chase and Burrow, I think they're going to absolutely dice defenses up again, no matter what you do, because T. Higgins is good enough to draw at least some attention away from Chase and allow Burrow to handle his. Now, can the Bengals offensive line hold up and keep Burrow intact? In theory, they should be able to. And if they don't, then this part of this video is absolutely cooked. But I'm going to at least give the Bengals offensive line some sort of benefit of the doubt and say they're going to at least keep Burrow somewhat vertical. And because of this, I'm going to say Burrow and Chase absolutely terrorize the NFL once again and win both Offensive Player and MVP, because Cincinnati is going to need them to make the playoffs. They almost did it last year. And I really believe that had the Bengals made it, Burrow probably would have won MVP. And with that, that comes the end of the individual award predictions. Now, tomorrow, you already know what's coming, as I've previewed it all week. It's going to be the team predictions, as in the full playoff scope, and who's getting to Santa Clara, who's making the conference championships, all that good stuff, all the seeding. That's how this next video is going to go. So, NFL playoffs, you are the first stop of my next train of thought.